Welcome. In this video, you are going to learn how to sit properly in meditation practice. Now I say proper because it is indeed the proper way to sit cross-legged on the floor that the ancient meditation masters prescribed practicing a seated meditation. So if you do currently use props such as a chair or a kneeling stool to meditate, it's important that you slowly start to transition your practice to sitting cross-legged on the floor. So for example, even if you're just starting with 5 minutes, your body will eventually adapt. Now, the reason for sitting cross-legged position is that it energetically opens various channels and alignments. And so that is why it is important to be transitioning to this position if you aren't already using it. This is also a great position to practice pranayama breathing techniques. So there's 2 important things that you are going to need to figure out for yourself to sit in a proper cross-legged meditation seat. Now, the first important thing is that your hips are either in line with or above your knees. So for the majority of people, that means you're going to have to sit on something. So whether that's a buckwheat cushion, or some folded blankets, or some blocks, you're going to need to elevate your butt so that your hips are at the same level or above your knees. Now, I personally recommend these buckwheat cushions. This is a simple round one here. I have a couple different styles. Now, the reason why is because you can move the buckwheat around. So I like to push it up so that it gives me a little more height. You can also kind of move the buckwheat out of the way. You can also move the buckwheat away from your butt cheeks and kind of just move the material around until it works for you. Now, the second important thing for the seated position is that you support your knees. So if your knees are not currently supported by the ground and they're elevated a little bit, you need to put something underneath them so that they're supported. If your knees are just floating in the air, it's going to cause unnecessary tension on your knees. And over time, if you're sitting long term, this is going to cause unnecessary damage to your knees. So you want to put something underneath your knees. What I like to use is just simply a blanket. So you can wrap the blanket around like this and kind of adjust it. And this is a really easy, great way to support your knees. Other ways are some yoga blocks or some foam blocks work really well as well. Now, as you continue to practice, your posture is going to change. So as your hips open up, you're going to require less support, but it is very important when you're starting off that you have your hips above your knees and your knees supported. You do not want to have your knees up like this. It's going to cause a lot of tension on your body, and that can cause some long-term damage. Now, once you've been sitting for a while and your hips start to open up, kind of the final seated posture, the more advanced, would be to sit into lotus. And so what that's going to look like is you're going to bring one of your feet and you're going to tuck it in your hip crease just like this. So this is half lotus. Full lotus would be to bring the other foot opposite the hip crease here. And this would be sort of the final, more advanced version of the seated posture. Now, one last thing is that it is important to switch the leg that you have in the front to allow your body to open up symmetrically as you work on this cross-legged seated position on the floor. So for example, if you're sitting twice a day, maybe in the morning, you have your left foot in front. In the evening, you would switch and you would put your right foot in front. So please keep that in mind, that you should be switching whichever foot is in front so that you maintain a symmetrical opening of your body. So that's all. Happy meditating.